Hello! This video will help you understand some of the more advanced logic functions you can incorporate into your AYTM surveys. First, we'll show you how you can use logical operators, and then we'll go over options for numeric and relational operators to perform calculations and comparisons within your survey. Finally, we'll show you how to set the order of operations in a logic statement. Let's get started. What's a logical operator? In AYTM surveys, you can use logic to create rules that the platform will use to determine how and when to show questions or answers to respondents. The way this logic works can be simplified to the basic premise of if this, then that. If the criteria X is true, then take the specified action Y. A basic logic statement only needs a criteria and a result, an if and a then. In this example, show if Q1A2, show is our then, and if Q1A2 is our if. See how that works? Sometimes you need to build logic with multiple criteria or conditions. You create these more complex rules by using logical operators and, or, and not. For example, you might want to display a follow-up question only if the respondent has chosen 2 answers in a checkbox question. Let's check one out. In this question, we ask respondents what kind of pets they have. For the next question, we ask how many dogs and cats they have in total, but we don't want to show that to respondents who don't have dogs and cats. So we used a logic statement with multiple criteria, show if Q1A2 and Q1A3. With this logic, only respondents who told us they have both dogs and cats will see question 2. Let's look at some more examples using the and, or, and not logical operators. This logic command, show if, will be processed only if both Q1A2 and Q1A3 have been selected by respondents. This logic command will be processed if either Q1A2 or Q1A3 are selected by respondents. And finally, this logic command will only be processed if Q1A2 is selected and Q1A3 is not selected. In this case, if the respondent selects question 1, answers 2, 3, and 4, the logic will not activate because even though answer 2 was selected, answer 3 was also selected. So the statement evaluates as false because we told the platform that answer 3 is not supposed to be selected in order to trigger the show if. Make sense? Keep in mind, the AYTM platform will not process the same logic command listed in separate square brackets, so you must use a logical operator if you have multiple conditions for a single command. Instead of this, you want to type this. Otherwise, both rules may be ignored. If you need your logic statements to be processed in a specific order, we'll get to how to do that soon. Moving on to numeric and relational operators. Hint, numeric operator is just a fancy word for math, and relational operators are used for making comparisons. Maybe you need your survey to perform calculations for you. Lucky for you, AYTM includes numeric operators of the usual kind, such as add, subtract, multiply, and divide. You can use these operators along with regular numbers on variables and certain answer types in your survey. Here's an example. Here we have a question asking respondents how many dogs and cats they have in total. Remember that show if logic using and we just went over? Here it is in action. To show you how to use numeric operators, we'll have to gloss over variables briefly, but don't worry, we'll cover that in another video. In this question, we've created a variable with the label number of pets, and we have set it equal to 0 just for fun. Before we go any further, let's look at what respondents will see when they answer this question. Respondents will see a slider that allows them to choose the number of dogs and the number of cats they have. The platform will collect this information for each response, and we can use it in the following question. So here you see we use a logic statement to call up the variable number of pets again, and we use it to do some math to figure out how many total dogs and cats the respondent has. Remember that when we initiated our variable, we set it at 0, which means respondent has no pets. But once they've answered this question, now we have more information. We know how many dogs they have, and we know how many cats they have. So in the following question, we can use this data that the respondents have given us to create a sum that will equal the total number of pets. How do we do this? Well, we add a logic statement to set number of pets, which is currently 0, now equal to question 2 Sub-question 1, dogs, the numeric value of their response, which means the number that they chose when they were asked how many dogs they have, plus question 2, sub-question 2, cats, and the number of cats that they said that they own. When we add these up, we get a new value for number of pets. And this is how numeric operators work in the system. You can use these numeric operators on a variety of entities in the survey editor. Relational operators allow you to make comparisons between items, such as greater than, less than, greater than or equal to, less than or equal to, and not equal to. These operators can be used to compare entities in your survey, such as the number of answers chosen on a specific question, the number of questions seen, the contents of an answer choice or response, a reserved variable, or a custom variable. Remember how we set our variable number of pets equal to 0, and then added up the total number of pets our respondent has? What if we want to ask a follow-up question only to respondents who said they have more than 5 pets? We could use show if logic for those respondents whose number of pets is greater than 5, like this. Pretty neat, isn't it? You can even use equal to and not equal to on some types of text responses. Order of operations refers to the ability to tell the platform in what order you want your logic statements to be processed. You can use regular parentheses to group conditions together. The parentheses in show if, not Q1A2, and Q1A3 describe a situation where both the second and third answers for Q1 were selected. And that not that comes before it applies to the entire statement inside the parentheses. Therefore, Q1A2 and Q1A3 must both not be selected for the statement to execute. And finally, it is possible to include multiple groups of conditions within parentheses together in one statement using logical operators, like this. The item we're telling the platform to show will only show as long as either answers 2 or 4 are selected and answer 3 is not. Remember, the platform will evaluate statements within parentheses prior to evaluating any statements out of parentheses. There are many ways to achieve the same ends when writing more complex logic commands, so use the method that makes the most sense to you. Just be sure to preview your survey and test the logic as a respondent so that you know it does what you need it to do before you launch. Thanks for watching, and remember, if you need help, clicking on the plus sign in the square brackets will pop open the built-in logic guide in our survey editor. You can search for commands or even populate fully built example questions of many common logic statements into your survey. Our team is also available on chat Monday through Friday from 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. Eastern. Happy programming!